Hi, and thank you so much for watching this content. I am Lauren, a hypnotist. Okay. Do not be afraid of making eye contact. Hypnosis isn't something that I'm going to do against your permission. And actually, you cannot use hypnosis with any sense of deep change or lasting change on anyone without their consent. Does it have to be conscious consent? What even qualifies as consent? These are very logics based questions. I want to talk first about how hypnosis is something that you could use in your everyday life. I work with people in my office, which technically, to my own admission, is a lab. Now, it seems like a nice, therapy or coaching. It's a very comfortable physical space, or my virtual office, which is similar to this. It's done through Zoom. Those things don't feel like a lab, but why I call them that is because we are always testing. We aren't even needing to gather that much information. We are just seeing what works. And then after it works or as it's working, do we really need to study it and label it and try to standardize it? Many people have, and many people do, and that is okay. It's not my way of doing things because I recognize that everything has an unlimited quantity of variables. And that means that even you, even this moment, even all those stories that you are consciously and unconsciously responding to in your background, in your identity, in your beliefs, all of those things don't even matter as information. What matters is what you want, because that feeling, that vibration, that heart frequency, that fuel of you wanting anything, that moves mountains. That expands the universe. In my book, The Brilliance of Imagination, I describe that feeling as desire. And there are people, obviously, who have desires. You might be one of them. You may be somebody, though, that I would say probably falls in one or the other category. You have desires, but you've been disappointed because they haven't been satisfied. And so you've tried to turn down or disconnect, maybe tune out from that frequency of naturally this yearning for desires. Or this other category of people who has desires, but they aren't actually yours. Maybe you're not adverse to them. Maybe you're okay to go along with them. And maybe actually along the way, you fool yourself. I think more people are in that state of being self-fooled, that the desires that they are seeking or the desires that they have achieved, that those were authentic and that they should now be happy. Now, if you're someone who's already achieved all of the happiness that you would think that this life has to offer, this message is not for you. But I do have a message for you. And that message is, what's next? Or what else? What more are you desiring? Let's hear it. Let's be infected with that contagious energy that will help expand us. Let's bring your bright light into a platform and have you help show us our way. You've found your way. And through us having better models and people who are really authentically aligned to their values, right? So I'm saying fueled by their desires, because being a billionaire, having a big house, having those flat abs, even the fancy titles, even changing, and having things in the humanitarian field and having massive impact, those things don't guarantee that we're going to feel the way that we had believed we would feel the way after we do be or have, right? That impressive or altruisticness of things. What really, really matters is you as this computation of potential and what's going on with you right now. And don't let your mind get warped around into what is the equation of happiness. What equation are we here to maximize this optimum, potential living experience? The equation is perception. It's what you make of it. When we think about perception and that idea of there's a glass and it has this volume of liquid, does that mean it's half full? Does that mean it's half empty? Those two judgments open two different states of feeling, but it was the same glass and it was the same amount. And that means that truly each of us who is alive and who is conscious, and anyone who's even watching or curious, If you've been drawn to this content, if you're following me this far through what I'm saying, I'm speaking to you. It is the right time now. You don't need more information. Okay. I'm not your informational guru who has figured out the answers and let me, bequeath them upon you. Instead, I want to help you be motivated to ask yourself the right questions. And those questions could be as simple as, how do I be happy? Or am I happy? Or what does happiness feel like? Now, I could go into how those questions are useful for you. And maybe for some of you, that question is harmful for you. Understand it's not an exact right phrase of how you say this. This isn't what hypnosis is. Hypnosis is the reality of imprinting suggestions or instructions. It could be very clear and direct and authoritative, but generally we think about, and there are lots of case studies that show it has more reach and more sort of lasting impact if you can kind of weave in between that permissive and that authoritative direct. So suggestions into your subconscious, which is like the computer mainframe of everything that you could experience or believe or feel, even quantumly. And it's so exciting because you have ideas in you, in your imagination, that no one else has. And you have ideas that are probably similar or maybe even entirely succinct to what other people's unconscious antennas have picked up, and even sometimes bizarrely at the exact same time, because then where's that coming from, right? But you are a piece of what is existing and the reality that all of us play in. And so I would like for you to be happy, and I would like for you to be awake to that opportunity of going towards desires. So many people are moving away from problems. That's their motivation. They're surviving, they're fighting, they're struggling. And we feel it collectively. The planet feels it. And there's no amount of money that makes you happy on the inside. There's no amount of physical attractiveness that guarantees that you like yourself. There's no amount of people you'll help that confirms that you see yourself as having maximized your talents and being a good person. There's just no amount on the outside that will make up for anything lacking from the inside. And how do you fulfill yourself? How do you fulfill yourself on the inside? That's a great question. And how do we answer all of these great questions? And how do we change anything? We bring awareness. Step one, we bring the awareness in, because as soon as I asked that question out loud, and my subconscious, even ahead of my conscious, checked in and said, well, how would that be filled? It thought, well, if I'm speaking about some opportunity on the inside of me that isn't full, and let's imagine that it is full, and it's not a rigid, standardized process. It is the opportunity of employing thousands of processes, and so many processes that when we start seeing some of these books that really do a good job indexing all of them, our brains just get overloaded. It's information overload. It is too much metric and not enough meat. Why are we doing that again? Why? What was the problem? What is the desire? You know these things in your intuition. You know how to do these things. We have been doing these things since we have been animals. As we have become these high functioning, beautiful capacitated animals, we've lost touch with some of the things that are truly more tangibly valuable. It is amazing what we can do with this prefrontal cortex and visualize or, conceive of, skyscraper towers or the marvelous feats of technology. But bring your state back here, if you like. There are so many ways already you are hypnotizing yourself. And once you understand what hypnosis means and how hypnosis has been in play and how hypnosis is actually historically at the beginning of all the branches of psychology, of coaching, of personal development, of language, of thought, even emotion, you're hypnotizing yourself, and that's where emotions are coming from. When you see that hypnosis is just this thing that we only found a word for a couple hundred years ago. And hypnosis has existed before then, and it exists now, and you don't need to go to a stage show, or you don't need to have an illusionist, get you to fixate it, eye fixation, or a pendulum, or you don't have to count backwards and go into a Zen garden. You can use those techniques, but there is an entire recipe of why those techniques work. And so what I would rather you have is that recipe, because when you understand the ingredients of the recipe and the categories in this recipe book, then you become a chef. You aren't a cook following instructions. You are an artist in a base making delicious meals, or you're a food scientist just seeing the different properties, the different properties that different ingredients can do. I don't know what you're going to do, with this analogy of food, because it isn't food. It is your life. It is your living experience. It is your everything. It is, there is nothing that it isn't. Okay. And that's a quite Dr. Seuss way to wrap this up. So I don't want to leave you with a head scratching riddle that just, rhymes and maybe sounds fun. I want to leave you with something that you feel that you have received and you put in your pockets. Okay. And what this is that I'm going to leave you with is two things. Both of them are permissive and invitational. First is an invitation for you to wake up from any limited beliefs. You are the creator of your experiences, even the ones that are already in your past. You are the creator of that perspective. Okay, so I invite you to wake up and change your story if you have any stories that you want changed. Maybe you want an entire new genre brought into your library of stories. Doesn't that feel good, or does that feel better? Some people may think that feels confusing, or they may feel resistant or in disagreement to what I'm saying, and that's fine. So my second invitation is for anyone out there, anyone who is ready to understand maybe more with instruction what I am talking about, or for people who are disbelievers, even skeptics. Come to a workshop. It is completely free. Okay. You've got the opportunity to interact for free with a professional hypnotist. I'm a trainer in hypnotherapy. If you are already a hypnotist, and this has been what I've experienced in, the work that I've done in conventions and meeting other professionals, is that a lot of hypnotherapists don't feel that they understand what hypnosis is beyond the scripts. Hypnosis is not those scripts. But when you recognize how those scripts help you to enact directed hypnosis, then as a hypnotist, you can start doing maybe better hypnosis on yourself, or you can teach your clients to do better hypnosis for themselves. So this workshop, you can interact through chat to tell me your goals, to let me know where you are getting hung up. Don't even worry about understanding what hypnosis is. Like I said in the beginning, this is not a logical exercise. This is an exercise that you will learn by doing. And if you've followed me this far, you have learned, at least in your subconscious, this thing that I'll call hope. And there is a hope that it does not need to be hard. Let your physiology remember that you cannot force things, yet you are a powerful being. You have powerful healing properties and the ability to push yourself, all of us, towards feats not even yet conceived. It is such an honor to speak with you and to introduce you to a perhaps new perspective on hypnosis, a modern angle. The Modern Day Hypnosis mission is to make hypnosis accessible for you. And so I have a self-applied hypnosis techniques toolkit. You can go further into training and certification. You can work with one of our ambassadors. You could become qualified as an ambassador in hypnotherapy through Modern Day Hypnosis. Lastly, the opportunity for intensive quantum hypnosis exists for those who are already at that accomplished threshold of happiness, of success, of fulfillment, yet still, there's more. There doesn't end that scale of more existing, even just a 0.5% in any of those facets of life. It's worth it. You want it. You have that fuel of desire. Intensive quantum hypnosis. You'll work with other providers of ancient modalities, true scientific scales of going into your subconscious to clear perspectives or gain perspectives, so that the work with me for intensive quantum hypnosis propels you, it progresses you to that enhanced state of being. Check out pointofprogression.com if you are interested in intensive quantum hypnosis. pointofprogression.com.